We just turned the beginning of 2025, and businesses operating in the European Union face an unprecedented challenge. In an extremely short time frame, they must comply with a cascade of regulations set out by the so-called EU's digital decade. Each piece of legislation carries its own complexities, but together they represent a pivotal movement for companies operating in the European Union. And I'm not talking about only those operating in the digital space. These regulations apply possibly to any company offering their services within the European Union. How can businesses manage this regulatory surge without losing momentum, without doing useless duplications? We will try in this episode to uncover a methodology that makes it possible. Welcome to Diritto al Digitale, the podcast where the law, technology, and innovation converge. I'm Giulio Coraggio, your host, a technology and data lawyer at the global law firm DLA Piper. This podcast is where we follow our passion of creating the law itself, bringing legal principles into uncharted territories that lawmakers never even dreamed of. Today we address an urgent and transformative topic: the EU's digital decade and the regulatory avalanche of 2025. We will explore how companies can navigate the overlapping requirements of multiple pieces of legislation and turn compliance into a strategic advantage. But let's dive in. The EU's digital decade. It's not just a set of goals, it's a bold vision of the European Union's digital future. But what does it really mean for businesses? The EU's digital decade is an ambitious framework designed to position the European Union as a global leader in the digital innovation by 2030. These targets promise immense potential, but translate into a complex regulatory landscape that demands immediate attention for businesses operating within the European Union, even if they are based outside of the European Union. As 2025 just started, businesses shall quickly comply with these regulations. First, we had the GDPR in 2018, which had been a cornerstone milestone on data protection. Next, we had the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act, fully applicable from 2024, focusing on transparency and fair competition, and applicable not only to large platforms. This year, additional regulations are soon coming to force. Let's start with the most urgent one, the DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, that poses strong ICT risk management obligations for financial entities like banks, insurance companies that also have to renegotiate all the contract with their ICT suppliers, which was extremely long and complex. Then we have the fast approaching NIS2 directive, which introduces stricter cybersecurity requirements for critical and important entities. We are talking about an extremely large amount of companies, much broader than the companies that were in the perimeter of the NIS1 directive. In some countries, it's the obligations of the NIS2 directive are already into force, while in others, they will be applicable throughout 2025, with the deadline for registration with the local cybersecurity authority happening in many countries like Italy in January of this year. Then we have the Data Act, applicable from September 2025. It regulates how businesses share and access data in case of connected devices. Then we have the EU AI Act that also brings significant changes, with its main provisions addressing not only high-risk AI systems, but also any AI solutions that any business will adopt sooner rather than later to support their offering to clients or to support their internal operations. And with the additional complexity of the recent decisions by local privacy authorities that have a strong impact on artificial intelligence systems. Together, These laws represent a transformative regulatory shift. Businesses that fail to prepare risk financial penalties and reputational damages. But what makes compliance with these laws so difficult? It's the recurring themes that run through them, creating a web of interconnected obligations that might risk to turn into useless duplications. Let's explore these themes. First, risk assessments. Laws like the Digital Services Act, the AI Act, and the Cyber Resilience Act mandate regular evaluations to preempt risks like disinformation and cybersecurity threats. Then notifications. Regulations such as the GDPR, DORA, and NIS2 require businesses to report data breaches, cyber attacks, and other incidents promptly. Failure to comply can result in substantial fines. Governance is another critical theme. From appointing an AI and a cybersecurity compliance officer to implementing robust internal policies, governance frameworks are a cornerstone of these regulations. Security requirements are equally stringent, with the Cybersecurity Act and the GDPR demanding advanced technical and organizational measures to protect data and systems. Finally, data sharing emerges as a key area. The Data Act and the GDPR emphasize balancing transparency with privacy, ensuring data sharing is fair and secure. These overlapping themes make a unified compliance strategy essential. So, how do businesses approach this complexity? It's necessary to adopt a strategy to simplify compliance. A strategy shall operate on three levels. The first, principle-based controls, categorizes legal provisions into thematic areas such as transparency, security, and governance, avoiding duplications. The second tier aligns these themes with external standards like the ISO standards or the NIST guidelines. The third tier translates these principles into operational steps, from drafting contracts with clear data sharing clauses to implementing technical safeguards for cybersecurity. This tiered approach minimizes redundancy and ensures businesses focus on a high priority compliance area, reducing risks and resource wastage. But compliance is not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. When businesses embrace transparency, they build trust with customers and regulators. Compliant frameworks don't just mitigate risks, they drive innovation, opening doors to adopting innovative technologies. Moreover, streamlined operations lead to cost savings and enhance efficiency, turning regulatory requirements into a competitive advantage. As we wrap up, businesses should remember that the use digital decade is not just a challenge. It is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to lead the European Union's digital transformation. With a strategic approach and a robust methodology, compliance can become your greatest asset. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Diritto al Digitale. If you find today's discussion insightful, please subscribe, share, and join us next time as we explore the future of law and technology. I'm Giulio Coraggio, and this has been Diritto al Digitale.